particularly in the Crimea region.
That's right, and local authorities there have confirmed that dozens of armed men have seized the regional government buildings there and raised Russian flags. Now, yesterday, fights broke out in front of those regional buildings between ethnic Russians and Tatars who support the new authorities in Kiev. And you can see photos of those fights on the front page of several newspapers. For instance, here is a very impressive photo on the front page of the International New York Times today in front of the Crimean Parliament in Simferopol. Another photo on the front page of the Independent this time, another photo of those clashes between pro-Russians and pro-Europeans. And you can see here the headline of the Independent talks about how Putin has put Russia on the war footing. Now, this is because the president has ordered for 150,000 troops to move immediately into a state of, quote, combat readiness. And the Moscow Times also focuses on this, how tensions are growing in Ukraine amid Russian military drills. A lot of papers are focusing on the fact that Russia is really flexing its military muscle and therefore escalating international tensions over this issue.
OK, well, let's go back to The Independent. It's focusing on those growing claims that that Ukraine is really at risk of breaking up along these pro- and anti-Russian lines. It's been investigating whether the risk of that happening is real or whether that's sort of being a bit trumped up by people with their own aims.
That's right. Well, this is a very interesting analysis piece by Rupert Cornell, and he says that this idea of a Russian Crimean reunification is very possible in terms of the facts, but it's still a long shot, and it's not necessarily in the interest of either the new government in Kiev or the Kremlin. But he points out that it's a measure of the gravity of Ukraine's crisis that tensions there have flared up so soon. So it's a very interesting piece in The Independent if you want to understand more about that situation. Now, I've also pulled out an article, well, a cartoon rather, from the International New York Times, which shows one reason why Ukraine may be wanting to distance itself from Russia, and those are the fact that Russia's economy isn't doing as well as it has in recent years. And you can see there Ukraine represented by a lifeboat that's rowing away from a sinking Russia, and meanwhile Vladimir Putin saying, "Come back, I threw you a lifeline."
OK, interesting depiction there. Let's move on to a story coming out of Hong Kong that's got quite a lot of people there worried, particularly in the media. The former editor-in-chief of a prominent newspaper is in hospital after he was stabbed yesterday.
That's right. This is Kevin Lau. Now, you can read about it in the South China Morning Post. Now, he was stabbed by one man who then jumped on the back of a motorcycle and zoomed off. Now, Lau was the editor-in-chief of Ming Pao, a prominent Hong Kong newspaper, which is actually offering a reward of 1 million Hong Kong dollars for information. This is getting a lot of coverage in other papers as well. The Wall Street Journal, for instance, it focuses on this. There's a lot of wonder whether this could be a politically motivated attack. Now, in its editorial, the Wall Street Journal wonders who just stabbed him. Points out that Law has been a prominent critic of the government, actually he was fired from his job as chief of the editor-in-chief of Ming Pao, and this sparked protests about the freedom of press, etc. This editorial says that his stabbing is proof that Hong Kong's battle for democracy has taken a brutal turn.
Yep, certainly a lot of journalists in Hong Kong very worried about that situation. We're going to stay in the region with the China Daily focusing on an alarming consequence of air pollution.
That's right. This is on the front page today that says that lung cancer cases are linked to air quality, and there's actually a little graphic that shows just how lung cancer has increased in Beijing since 2002 for both men and women. You can see a steady increase there. Now, health experts say that the potential health impact of this smog that we've been seeing in a lot of cities in China could be greater than SARS. So this is really impressive information coming out of China Daily today. Now, in its comment section, it also has a point that says that this is a battle that has to be won. It's very insistent that the government has to rein in on pollution so that the dream of a beautiful homeland can be realized.
Thanks very much for bringing us that and all of the rest of the international newspaper stories. Florence Filmino, our press reviewer here on France 24. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, we're going to be bringing you all the latest from Ukraine. We're going to be reporting on the latest developments with the interim government going to be facing an approval vote in Parliament a little bit later on today. Do stay with us for that.